How's it going?
I'm not too bad. It's good.
Yeah.
Back for another episode of Chocolate or Poo.
Episode
3.
3. Yeah.
3. Wow. Don't forget. Definitely do not forget to flush.
No, absolutely not. Not after episode 3 anyway. So, what's the crack?
Not much. It's been an interesting little week.
It has.
I did not do any of our homework the last time. That was something we said we were before we started filming, was that we might try and push any kind of homework we might get to a 2-week thing. Because we both have very young families and just with work and everything, and it's just getting time to actually sit down and watch TV. I think I watched an hour of television in the last 3 days. So
yeah, in fairness, I was about to say, in between trying to watch something, looking after little lad, and doing the other few bits at home, it's been very difficult to try and do the homework, in all fairness. So we give ourselves another week to do it, and then next week's episode will be...
Oh, yeah.
No, so it'll be the week after.
It'll be the week after, so it'll be like 2 weeks from now. Yeah. It'll be episode 5 will be our one where we actually talk about movie and
the TV show that we had.
And I am looking forward to it because you did recommend a movie with Ethan Hawke, and I've loved Ethan Hawke in a lot of movies. Yeah. I liked him in the remake of The Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington.
I never saw that.
Brilliant.
It's good, is it?
Very good in that. Yeah, it's a brilliant movie as well.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington is a classic in it, and so is Ethan Hawke in it. And I liked him in the movie Good Kill.
Good Kill, yeah.
He's a drone pilot.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it. Ethan Hawke is a brilliant actor.
He is. He's very good.
Very
White Fang.
White Fang. Oh God, what was White Fang?
About the wolf. He's up in. I think he's up in Alaska. He was like Dead Poet Society.
Oh, Dead Poet Society was brilliant.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yeah.
Class. Robin Williams is also one of my favourite actors. So
outstanding. Yes.
Very much so.
Yes. But I'll try. I will promise to have it for episode 5. I will make time to do it. I will carve out an hour of time and say, look,
Yeah, even if you watch it 2 halves or something like that.
Just
watch the fucking thing.
1 in the morning, wife and baby are asleep. I am watching this, and that's it. Yeah. So that's it. We'll try and do that.
And I'll watch the episode of Rome, which obviously, again, like we said, I didn't get a chance to come around to watch it.
And actually, even if you want, we could always do a watch party episode where I could bring in the DVD of Rome and we could watch it on the computer beside us
and be chatting away in between scenes and stuff like that. So, who wants to go first?
Oh, I'll let you go first this time.
Really? Yeah. I went first last time.
Well, okay, right.
You go first this time.
Okay, we're gonna continue with the format you came up with the last time, which was interesting little funny news and stuff. So just give me 30 seconds. Explain to anybody who may be watching other than ourselves, watching our own YouTube videos.
What is this?
Of what we're doing.
What's going on?
While I pull up my Facebook page.
In this undisclosed location.
Oh yes, somewhere in the northern hemisphere. Yes.
This is just basically it's a podcast with 2 guys who are very similar. He's older, I'm younger. Just had to get that in. Very similar interests, and we just sit down, shoot the breeze, have the crack, chat.
Older and wiser. Yes.
And balder.
Yes. And distinctively balder. Yes.
Just shaved his head actually. I noticed it this morning when he came in.
Yeah, I shaved my head. I was just like, I'm going bald. Anyway, my hairline is like the German army in Moscow, outside Moscow. It's in full retreat. So I'm just like, there's a World War II joke for you. So I decided I would just do that. Now I unlike you, I didn't write this down. I just found some funny stuff on Facebook. I like some of the science pages on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I found some pretty funny articles. So I'm just going to open it up. I'm going to open up the first one and just give you a very brief. It was that there are what's known as forever chemicals, right? These are toxic chemicals that don't break down, and they have been found in several US brands of bottled sparkling water. So it's just like surprisingly high levels of PFAS chemicals have been found in several popular brands. If my phone stops twitching here. Oh, yes, that's great advertising. Brands of bottled water in the United States, according to the Consumer Reports investigation. Although none of the brands have tested exceeded the levels of tap water suggested by the Environmental Protection Agency, many experts and state regulators claim that the limit is not acceptable. So they haven't exceeded the level that would be dangerous for in your tap water in your house, but it's still, PFAS are per and polyfluoroalkali substances. These are compound chemicals, often called forever chemicals, because they don't naturally break down, and there's no known way of destroying them. They are found in many consumer products, including food, packaging, non-stick materials like Teflon, paints, and cleaning products. And it was nearly 50 brands, and they all had traces of heavy metals as well. So there you go. They all had traces of heavy metals and toxic chemicals.
This is Trump's way of doing his whole inside cleaning job.
Yes.
It's an inside job.
If I was a conspiracy theorist, man, the coincidences for that are shocking.
Very much so.
Yes. A little bit of my news, by the way. I have 3 pieces of news, and they're all water related. So it's just,
that's some quality H2O.
That's some quality H2O right there. And surprisingly, they're all from the United States. So yeah, I mean, they found these chemicals in the bottled water, and you know me from my insane rants. I am somebody who does not believe in bottled water.
No.
Unless you're out and about in town or whatever, and you have to bring a bottle of water with you somewhere. But I mean, it's free from your house, from your tap. If you have a country that and you actually pay. You hire a proper government, because I mean, election. When you say an election is one thing, but when you hire somebody to run the state for you, and they do a good job, and they put professionals into water treatment plants, and you invest money in it through taxes and everything, you can have very good clean water.
You can, and Ireland has a very good water supply. America,
we have fantastic water. I mean, I know back in the early 2000s there was that cryptosporidium outbreak in Galway and things like that, but that was because it was an aging system, and for 30 years we had hired governments that were just like, we'll put it on the long finger. So, but Irish Water have done a really good job recently, and they've building new water plants and all that. Anyway, so that's one of the funny. So I'm a firm believer of not having bottled water when you have good clean water in your house. Okay.
Absolutely.
The second one was that a city in Texas, I'll just pull up the name of the city here, was found in its water supply to have a brain-eating bacteria.
Microorganism or something.
Yes, what is it? Texan City was told to avoid tap water after brain-eating microbe was found in the water supply. It's an amoeba that can kill you. So
why do they say people from Texas are stupid?
Oh yeah, I mean the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality had warned local people that water supply companies on Friday that a rare amoeba called Naegleria floweri, Floweri, had contaminated local water supplies. The amoeba, or single-cell organism, is found in fresh water, but if it gets up the nose, it can cause a rare and fatal brain illness called primary amoebic, and a very long medical word starting with an M. I'm not going to even bother trying to pronounce that. According to the American CDC. And in very rare, it notes that most deaths from the illness occur after swimming in fresh water, but in very rare instances, this Naegleria infections may also come from contaminated water sources. So symptoms include seizures, vomiting, hallucinations, with people dying within a week of contracting it. So there you go. Again, if the water is not treated properly or cleaned, and you don't spend money as a country on
a proper infrastructure for your water supply,
you can be in really big trouble. The last one is
sorry, I'm snacking out while you're chatting away. Sorry.
Shoot, eat your nuts. That's fine.
I will.
It'll be a little bit like Austin Powers movie when that's shit. It's a bit nutty. Chocolate or poo joke. There you go. The last one comes from Las Vegas, Nevada, the city of sin, man. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Except for this. The United States government obviously have experts from the Department of Defense and that are in experts in biological warfare, biological and chemical warfare. Okay. And one of the things they do routinely is they will carry out tests. So I mean, if they got water from a suspect place and they said, we want to know if the country you're from is contaminating the water in this country, they would take samples from it. And the laboratory they sent it to was in Los Alamos. It's that research place where they build stealth bombers and F-32, stealth fighter and all that kind of crap. Everyone thinks there's UFOs there. It's really just experimental aircraft. Yeah. But it's also a laboratory where they carry out a lot of other things for the US government. And they sent the samples from whatever part of the world to here to test them. And they needed what all scientists do, a control substance test. So they're in Las Vegas, and where's the nearest water in the desert? The city of Las Vegas. So they went, we just get it from the hotel swimming pools. Yeah. It's water. We know what's going to be in it. There's going to be a little bit of bacteria from human beings in it, but a lot of chlorine. So we can test it and compare it and see how toxic this water is compared to that. Turns out, this specialist in biological and chemical warfare said that the water in Las Vegas, when testing it, was a bit of a roller coaster ride. He said that basically he's got a... Okay, here we go. He said... where was it? Yeah. Okay, yeah, he explains that in the 90s he was working at chemical biological warfare for White House, right? And these guys he's been working since the 90s for the White House and whatever. Sorry, now I'll scroll down to where he lists the kind of things that are in the water. Okay, here we go. He said that there was some serious chemicals or horrific things in the swimming pool water in the hotels. He said there were alarming levels of Giardia and cryptosporidium, both highly resistant to chlorine, a huge number of metabolites from human urine, fecal matter, fecal matter, human...
chocolate or poo joke?
fecal matter from both humans, mammals, and avians. All right. Trace amounts of cocaine, ketamine, and several other opiates, as well as adenoviruses, which is a weak immunochromographic hit for tularemia, sorry, and Campylobacter. Okay, so yeah, your man said that these things are horrendous. Basically, like there's things like E. coli, norovirus, Shigella SS or SPP, and a few other highly scientific words that I can't really pronounce. But basically, he said that if you're ever going to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, don't even let the water from the swimming pool touch your skin. It is just horrific. But I thought the cocaine and ketamine was just like they found traces of cocaine and ketamine.
Well, it is Las Vegas,
Yeah, I suppose you're right. It is Las Vegas. A funny other little piece of information about Las Vegas, Nevada. Back in the 1960s, when Joseph Kennedy was running for president, JFK. Back in that time period, the United States government was still testing nuclear weapons. They used to have atomic blast parties in Vegas, where you could sit by the pool in your hotel with a drink and watch them detonate nuclear bombs in the distance.
I definitely want to have children in the future. Let's go watch this atomic blast.
The other thing is, if you ever watch any movies about Vegas and you see those mountains in the distance, that's actually where they store nuclear waste. They have a vault in there where they just dump radioactive material. It's like a Chernobyl storage facility. Like it's just, and that's Vegas, baby. So there you go.
What happens in Vegas?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yeah.
Nuclear testing.
So those are my 3 things. You can get toxic levels of chemicals in the bottled water. The water in the taps are not good enough to drink either, and apparently you can die from swimming in Vegas. So there you go.
It's a gamble to go there anyway. That's for sure.
Oh, good God, yeah. So, yeah.
I'm just going to finish my nuts.
Finish your nuts. These nuts
are delicious.
Yeah. But that was it, yeah. And so that was it. Those are my 3 little stories. I actually did a bit of work for our podcast.
Yes, you did.
Time, instead of just showing up.
Bravo.
Thank you. So, El Maestro, enlighten us. What has the Kevin man got for us today?
God, what don't I have?
You really are. Like, you should have gone into journalism. I mean, this is...
I don't want to go that far now. I just pulled stuff from sites that I looked up and things that I see.
You would have loved to have been an artist.
I would have been.
With, what do you call it?
What's her name? It's on the 9 o'clock or the 6 o'clock?
Oh, God, I can't remember.
6 o'clock, yeah.
The blonde one, yeah. There you go. I can't remember. The good looking
some Irish
show host on RTE,
name or something. Derval or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yes. But no, I was just thinking as well, talking about the podcast, what it is and what it's about and stuff. It's just a lot of random things and things we like and things from our life and things like that. But I remember when we were tossing the idea back and forth, 3 or 4 months ago, with another friend of ours who we won't drop a name in there, but didn't want to be a part of it basically. But he would have been cool on it, I'd say.
Oh, he would have been brilliant, especially if we do any sports episodes.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
We have to get him
as a guest.
Yeah, get him in for a guest speaker.
Definitely.
Good God, yeah.
But I was thinking about all the names that we were going to use. And we didn't use. We settled on this beautiful piece.
We settled on chocolate or poo, but yeah, what names did we come up with that were?
But that could be an interesting piece for another episode. If we could, go through the reams of messages and the backs and forth and do that and say, well, we actually,
we could have settled on this.
Chocolate or poo was a completely different podcast. But yeah, I digress.
The after hours episode.
Yeah. When the watershed. Yes. Yeah, look, I just kind of pulled a ton of stuff. I've actually got more than 3 stories now, but we can go through it and we can have a chat. So the first one, I call it Strange or Wonderful Stories that I kind of again found online and that kind of tweaked my interest. The first one was a headline that I saw and it just grabbed me because of what's going on at the minute with El Trumpo.
Oh yes.
El Capitano over in America did Nostradamus predict Trump would get coronavirus? Now when I went into the article, I will admit that it actually didn't really go into maybe the piece of writing that Nostradamus did, because he wrote in poems, I think 5-lined poems.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they were based, and people had pulled them and said, oh, he predicted this, he predicted that. But I did come across another thing. It's called the Curse of Tippecone. Tippecone? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Well, I mean, wasn't Nostradamus Italian or something?
Yeah, but I thought this was it, but this is completely different.
Yeah.
It's a supposed curse of the deaths of USA presidents elected in years divisible by 20.
Okay.
So I think that the chap called Tippecone, I should have written more about it, but basically, if you look back through, Abraham Lincoln was whatever year it was,
Right,
divisible by 20.
1865 or something.
I think the curse basically means they die when they're in office.
Oh,
Now, a few other people have lived beyond it, like George W. Bush. There's been a couple more. Clinton, I think, was another. But a few of them have died. Like JFK was on, Lincoln.
Do you know, one of them died as a result of his inauguration speech.
What? Oh,
they gave an inauguration in January, and he was out in the rain, and he talked for like 45 minutes or an hour or something like that, and caught pneumonia and died like a week later. So that's
tough way to go. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool article, but it didn't really give me the actual predictive piece that you could read and say, yeah, that's kind of weird. Apparently he predicted the coronavirus as well, but that's another piece of thing. But interesting.
He was alive during the bubonic plague, wasn't he?
Yes.
Well, one of the bubonic plagues. There was a couple of plagues in Europe. I mean, there was Black Death, and then there was the later plagues during the Renaissance. So he would have lived through one of them.
The next headline is one that you mentioned earlier and that I read during the week and thought was hilarious. Subway bread is not bread officially in Ireland. I'm not sure about the other countries.
It's cake.
It's cake. It has too much sugar in it, basically.
Yeah. Well, I've always noticed it was very sweet when you eat it. Like,
it's delicious.
And it's so soft and everything.
It doesn't feel like bread.
Yeah. So
so it's like one of those fancy bun burgers you get, the brioche type thing.
Yeah. It does.
Sort of like that.
A little bit like brioche. Yeah.
You think you're eating healthy.
I should have known. I mean, I should have known all those times I was eating it. But yes. But no, I mean, don't get me wrong. It is lovely to eat, but yeah, it's shockingly bad.
Full of sugar.
And it's kind of one of those things like where it's the too good to be true thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you think to yourself, I'm getting a really healthy sandwich. No, you're not.
Like they used to have your man in America.
The guy who turned out to be a pedophile. Yeah, Jared.
And they did a spoof of him, I think, in South Park. I can't remember. They did.
They literally did him.
Oh, did they?
Because
they did Mel Gibson or something like. They put his face onto the.
No, they actually got Jared chasing after the kids. Yeah, they really did go after because I think he was a convicted pedophile. So it was just like, what's he gonna do? Sue us for libel?
Yeah,
for
this is what he is.
For what he is, yeah, exactly. So that was it. Yeah,
that's another fun one there.
That was brilliant. Yeah.
The next few are I think they're mostly in America. There you go. We pull a lot of stuff from America.
They are the television people.
They are. A homeless man with no arms stabs tourist. So that was the headline that grabbed me. So he's no arms and he stabbed a tourist. So this happened in Miami, Florida. I think it happened in July of this year.
Of course it's Florida.
Yeah, of course. A street painter named Jonathan Armless Dale launched at the tourist, stabbing him with a pair of scissors that he had gripped with his feet. I'm still imagining this. How did he launch at him? Like, if he doesn't have the action of using your hands and your arms.
Does he have like John Cleese length legs? Do you remember that silly walk John Cleese with that stupid walk? I'm just kind of thinking, was he hopping with one foot and doing or was he just like like your one out of the Kingsman, like she was able to do all that spinning kicky stuff. I don't know.
I think what happened was he's a street painter, and he said that these guys, they were tourists. They hit him over the head or something, and he attacked.
So it might have been self-defense.
But yeah, still, it's funny. Homeless man with no arms stabs tourist.
That's awesome. It's almost like that Jimmy Carr joke. Stationery store moves.
Brilliant one-liners. The next one is really cool. It came out again. I remembered it during the week, but I found it there online. I could read a bit more about it. Swearing parrots are split up. So
you actually saw that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So in a place in Lincolnshire, it's called the Lincolnshire Wildlife Centre. They split up 5 foul-mouthed. There's a bit of one there. Foul-mouthed parrots after the 5 would rattle each other's feathers and egg each other on. I got 3 puns in there, baby.
Oh yeah. We need to have sound effects.
We really do.
We should have a little soundboard.
So basically, what they would do is they would tell people to fuck off. Basically,
should have a little sign behind it. Like just and put a one beside it. So they were telling people to fuck off. Oh, brilliant!
Now, while it is hilarious, obviously they have younger visitors that mightn't be told to fuck off by a parrot. Yeah, but I just thought it was just hilarious.
That is brilliant. Yeah.
There were these.
No,
go.
Go. Yeah.
There were these grey, the grey parrots, African greys.
Yes. They kind of look like budgies.
They're like budgies on steroids, basically. Yeah. Thought that was pretty hilarious.
But it just goes to show what kind of people go to these wildlife parks and go, "Hey bird, fuck off," just to get them to actually say it.
And apparently, usually they like. These type of parrots, they don't like rile each other up like that. It's more like a cockatoo or something like that. They just buzzed off each other, and just went nuts, just telling each other, fuck off, like, call you on a fuck off. The next one then, right, we'll blast through these ones. The next ones are very much light and breezy. 3 men accused of creating a man cave underneath New York's Grand Central Station. They work for the New York rail of the city. Basically, the room had a TV, a fridge, a futon, a sofa, a table, and a microwave. They would just go down there when they were supposed to be working and drink beer and have the crack. They'd been suspended without pay.
One question. Which female employee ratted them out?
They didn't want to be named.
Or which fourth friend who wasn't invited? Didn't know which male fourth friend who wasn't invited down there ratted them out.
Now I'm going to hide that because that's for another game.
That's for another little segment, yeah.
Another little piece. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Like a man cave under.
Dude, I would totally do that.
Of course I would. If you could do that at work.
If I could do that now, I would. Totally would. Yeah. If I could do that now, I would, yeah.
This one I thought was brilliant. Now, it is football, but it's just the headline. Again, I just clicked on the headlines that kind of grabbed my attention. A football team loses 37-0 after socially distancing from their opponents.
Where was this?
Germany, of course.
They followed the rules a little too much there.
Literally, and I'll tell you why. So, an amateur German team called SG Rudolf Molen 2. They played another team called Holstein, who had previously played another team, and one of that team had tested positive. But basically, the whole Holstein team were tested, and they didn't have it. But this other team didn't want to take the risk of their players catching it, possibly. Yeah. Now, the rules state that they need to field a minimum of 7 players to play the game. So if they forfeit the game, they have to pay a fine of like €200. But like they're not a professional team. They're like I think there's the 11th division of German football. So £200 is a lot, especially in COVID times. Yeah. So they played 7 people, and they just got hockeyed. But basically, it was, if you worked it out, the goals scored is equal to roughly a goal every 2.5 minutes.
Brilliant.
So I just thought it was awesome. Like, fair play. He was the chairman of the club was just like, yeah, we can't afford to pay €200 fine. So fair play to the players, you know.
Well, I mean, they're not getting any ticket sales, and the guys probably aren't even getting a salary or anything. They're probably just doing it after work, like, you know.
I'll put my glasses on because I'm finding it difficult to read my own writing. Next one. 120,000-old human footprints have been found in Saudi Arabia. It's apparently the earliest evidence of human of evidence of humans in the Arabian Peninsula. So it's pretty cool, I thought. The prints were from 2 people. They're going to help understand the routes that people that were leaving Africa were taking through other parts of the world. And they are not from Neanderthals because of the way they were able to figure out the stature and the weight of the people by the indentations in the ground. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you know what, that kind of thing would be pretty cool, because you think like they'd have to go up to Africa and back down again. That's exactly what we would have to do now. Yeah. But 120,000 years ago, the sea levels probably would have been different. So it probably would have been lower.
Or lower,
because of the ice ages. Yeah. So there would have been more water stored in ice. So they probably would have been lower. Like,
they could access these places.
They could have been a land bridge. Yeah. I mean, like, they think between New Zealand, Australia, and Guinea and Indonesia and Malaysia and all those places, that actually would have been one giant continent. Yeah, and now it's just the sea level rose and it created islands separating them out. But yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
There's other footprints like that in actual Africa, and they can tell that the distance, that it was one person, and it's preserved in this kind of volcanic ash that hardened. And it was that this person was running, and he was running at Usain Bolt's speed. Wow. That he was and he was at full clip, and he would have been 6 foot tall. So they were able to say that he's a tall, not very heavy guy, but he would have been a tall, thin person running
that fast back then. When obviously
either running from the volcano that was preserving his footprints, or being chased by an animal. They didn't find any animal tracks, so he may have been running after something.
Hunting something, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that would have been a tactic, because groups of hunters would go out.
Well, that's even now in African tribes, that's how they hunt.
But the thing, what they do is they get one guy they do it in teams. Yeah. They chase after a deer. One guy legs it as fast as he can until he wins out, and then the next guy will accelerate up, but the other guys are jogging at a pace, keeping within distance of it, to wear the animal's constantly having to run at full pace. Yeah.
It's a very good tactic. Obviously, it works.
So that could have been what he was doing. That he may have been full steam in it after. That's pretty awesome.
It is. The footprints were found like in a desert area now, but obviously back then they said it was a riverbed as well. It's like a dried up riverbed, so there was probably forests and stuff around. But
that's one of the things about
it's
Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
I just think
it's changed over
120,000 years old, and they're able to figure out that it was people. Yeah. Like, what the hell? It is awesome. It's savage.
But the Neanderthals wouldn't have been there. They would have been in Europe.
Yes.
The Neanderthals were in Europe. So,
they weren't known around this area at that time. Yeah.
I mean, there was the Denovesians were in Central Eurasia.
Okay.
They would have been the Denovians or Denovesians or whatever.
But they're not Neanderthals.
They're a group like Neanderthals.
Yeah.
And if you're from Asia, you have their DNA. Like me and you are from Europe, we have white people's DNA, which is Neanderthal. If you're from Africa, you'd have a different group.
Kind of set of
and
DNA.
we don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of your DNA. If you're black and your DNA is a little bit different from that because you have things. There you go. So pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Sorry, I just went. And when you said that, I was like, I've got so much nerdy info on that. Yeah.
That's what it's about, man. The next one is kind of cool. It's a real short one. It's a man in England. A man told a snake skin is not a mask, especially when it's still attached to the snake. So on a bus between Swinton and Manchester, a man was seen with what people thought was just like a silly mask that was a snakeskin design, but then they saw it move. The chap had a snake wrapped around his mouth, thinking that it was a mask. And people, I don't think they never find out who it was. They don't know if the driver went up to him or whatever and said. But people took a few pictures of it, and it was just like, what the fuck? A snake.
You know,
a snake. I imagine if I went in and I put my fucking dog around my head. It's the equivalent of that, like. My dog's a big fucking dog, like. I don't see that. I just don't get the logic behind that.
The Americans broke away from the English in the 1700s and became an independent country. They're still the same people.
Well, this happened in England.
That's what I'm saying. The Americans and the English are still the same people. They may have separated by a couple of hundred years, but they're still the same people. Down.
But it was like, I remember I texted you there the other day saying that I saw a chap and he was using a napkin as a mask.
Oh God, you did, yeah. You were out having a cup of coffee somewhere. Yeah. It was like some dude wearing a napkin. You're just like, yeah.
And there was this when I was in the shop there. We're picking up a few bits and bobs there during the week on the way home from work, and I was queuing up, and they have it marked out 2 meters at the checkouts or whatever. So I was queuing. I was at the end of it. There's a chap at the other side of the checkout, and he was packing stuff. He had his mask on below the nose. And chatting away, he knew the checkout person. They knew each other by name, from what I could tell. And I just felt like saying, "Dude, pull up your mask. What is the point in wearing it? Even fucking wearing it." Do you know?
I met people who don't wear masks.
Yeah. You were telling me about the
I had a guy. Now the guy had done 2 separate things. Right? I met one guy who wasn't wearing a mask walking around the shop in a supermarket, and I was just when I was doing the weekly shop for home, and I was like, "You kidding me?"
Yeah, seriously, like.
Yeah, I mean, it was he was wearing a mask. She wasn't. It was a couple.
Oh, it was like okay.
Yeah, the woman wasn't wearing a mask, and like you're just like,
what the?
He at least was wearing one. But you're looking at her, and you're just like,
yeah,
seriously. But the other one was, I was standing in the checkouts in Dunnes Stores, in Carlow, and like this guy came up and stood as close as we are now behind me at the checkouts. Now you might think, why are we sitting this close together during
we work together?
We work together, and we work in healthcare. We are regularly testing our temperatures. We are sanitizing so much that the skin is nearly coming off of us. We're as safe and as clean as can be.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's ridiculous. But like this guy had a mask on, but he was as close as I could. I turned around to him and I was like, "Can you move back to where the marker is?" And today, of all things, there was over 900 people confirmed. In Northern Ireland, not even in the Republic of Ireland. In Northern Ireland, there was 900 confirmed cases of COVID today. Yesterday, as of filming, there was 200 in Northern Ireland. 200 plus change. Now there's 900 plus change.
And that's just north. That's 6
That's
counties.
just 6 counties in Northern Ireland. Which
my god. And like they haven't released the Irish numbers yet.
No, it's after 6 p.m. every day. So it's before filming. We're an hour or two before filming. We'll get it after we finish filming.
Holy shit, man!
But
that's scary.
But like I said, I mean, wearing the napkin. I mean, things. I know it's a funny story about the snake and everything, and I do think that was very funny.
It was funny, but there is the seriousness behind it that people aren't taking it seriously. Like your scenario. When I was in the shop again, seeing your man ahead of me, there was another chap. Now I knew him from the area. He's an alcoholic, and I think he might be homeless as well. But he, again, like that, came up right behind me, had a bottle of gin in his hand, ready to buy, no mask.
Oh yeah.
And I looked around just to see, because I could feel someone behind me. And then as soon as I saw him and realised who it was, I'm not going to say anything to him. I just kind of went forward a little because your man was just leaving. And I was just, and when I looked at him, he looked at me. He kind of looked through me this look as if to say, "What's your problem?" Kind of thing. Like, well, first you're fucking nearly on top of me. Second, you're not wearing a fucking mask. And in the same shop, I saw this other chap walking around. He was holding the mask on one side, and he still had it hooked on the other ear. So obviously the band had come off the other side. Then I saw him 2 minutes later and up another aisle on the fucking phone. He let like that. Oh, it just does my head in.
Yeah.
They keep it simple.
And these are the ones who won't get sick and die.
Exactly.
That's
it.
Yeah.
Oh, like we said last week, natural selection.
Natural selection.
You know, just let them
out. But the thing is, these are the ones who won't die. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that guy you were talking about who's a known alcoholic.
Yeah.
In the community and things like that. Smokes 60 a day, drinking himself to death. Will outlive the two of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like.
Oh, it beggars belief. It really does. Anyway, well, look, we'll move on to the next one.
Try and lighten it up a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. The next one's
pretty cool.
it
is. You're right. It is a serious thing that does irritate the crap out of
COVID is on my list of things to talk about, but anyway, we'll play on.
Yeah.
I'll fly through this because it's really cool.
Take your time. Don't fly through this. Do it properly, yeah.
I found this really cool article because I remember, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but I remember mentioning it to you when we were just chatting, shooting the breeze, about that I read a while back about wolves being reintroduced into Ireland.
Yes,
Wicklow.
You did mention.
Now it's never going to happen. I don't think it will. They're demonised. I don't think it would work in terms of farmland and things like that.
Yeah, even the demonising thing. It's the practicality of it. I mean, it is a large carnivorous predator.
Yeah,
and I mean,
Ireland just doesn't. It's not big enough. Like it worked in Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yellowstone is the size of Ireland.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
yeah. But this is about that.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So 4 amazing animals that could be reintroduced into Ireland or the UK, or both. So the first one is lynx. So a lynx disappeared in the UK. I don't think they were in Ireland about 13,000 years ago due to loss of habitat and hunting, etc., etc. They've been successfully introduced in Switzerland. They could be reintroduced into Scotland. So that was pretty cool.
They're kind of like a dog-sized cat, aren't
exactly.
they? Yeah.
So they wouldn't be too bad.
They wouldn't be too bad.
No, compare that to a wolf.
I'd say they'd be more afraid of people. They wouldn't.
Yeah, they wouldn't be.
They won't take on an animal that weighs 100 kilos, which is the average person.
They'd be catching like.
Rabbits and small mammals,
hedgehogs and shit, like badgers and stuff like that.
Well, the thing is, that would be very good for farmers because they would be able to deal with animals that do
damage to crops and stuff.
Absolutely. Pesticides for crops.
The next one is bison, which disappeared. It's
cool.
cool.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean,
What did the mother bison say to her son? Oh, I've ruined it. So he said, "Bison."
Oh, bison.
There's another point. The scoreboard, the invisible scoreboard behind us.
The invisible scoreboard.
So bison disappeared about 6,000 years ago. It was Europe's largest land mammal. They help create habitat because they clear trees by eating the bark, and then the trees fall down. It creates it creates food for insects and birds by doing this. They were successfully introduced into Poland, Romania, Bulgaria. There is actually bison in Ireland. It's near Tato Park. But it's obviously not in the wild.
No, they're for farm.
Yeah.
But like that again in North America, when the bison used to help with the grasslands in the great grass, the prairie. They would stampede through. I mean, tens of thousands of animals would churn around. But they would catch the grass seeds to them and spread them along. So it actually they were a big part of the biodiversity. Yeah. And when they got rid of them, they ended up with dust bowls and everything else, which is why it was destroyed.
It's cool. There's a plan apparently in England by the year 2022 to reintroduce them in Kent.
Oh, awesome.
So there you go. The next animal, we're on animal 4, I think. Animal 3. Sorry. Elk. So disappeared 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. Awesome, in Ireland, they actually disappeared 8,000 years ago. Irish elk, they were huge. The antlers were like a deer's antlers are like here.
Like a Christmas tree,
massive. They're the largest deer. They're the largest of that family of animal.
Even in Canada and America, they're huge. I've seen pictures of hunters next to them. I mean, when they shoot them, these things are as big as the table and me and you put together.
It's savage, but they can only be reintroduced when scrubland trees recover in Ireland or the UK. Basically, we don't have a suitable habitat for them at the minute.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. And then obviously with the wolves, the next one disappeared. It actually didn't have a date on them, so I kind of looked it up, and I think it's between 5,000 and 8,000 years ago. When basically I think they domesticated the dog, and then that's when they started.
Yeah, well, I mean, 5,000 to 8,000 years ago, we were starting to get really good at farming, and it's an island. Eventually, you're going to spread to a point where they can't move beyond humans, and that's it.
Hard to reintroduce, obviously, because of the demonisation and the fact that everything built up areas is farmlands and stuff like that. And we just don't have large enough area.
We don't have the wild spaces for them. No. I mean, all the other 3 animals, I'd love to see the other 3.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
But the wolves, unfortunately.
I don't think it's going to work. No. Just to flag a case that has worked in Ireland, and it's something that's really cool, is what are they called? Where's the word? Red kite birds. So they're a type of raptor. They're a bird of prey. They were reintroduced in Wicklow.
Yeah.
They disappeared years and years ago, and they've been reintroduced. So there's now 30 breeding pairs in Ireland.
Awesome.
They were reintroduced in 2009, so it's pretty cool. So it does work, But obviously you have to have the right conditions and things like that, and a lot of work goes in the background. Closer to home piece was obviously we've mentioned COVID. Well, I'll come back to that. It's more serious. I have more funny stuff.
Okay, go on. Hit me with the funny
stuff.
And then hit me with the serious one at the end.
So these
are
5
at the end. Yeah.
These are 5 places that don't officially exist. I thought you'd find this quite interesting.
Go.
So this place is called, my pronunciation is going to be shocking, Transnistria.
Yeah, Transnistria, yeah.
Transnistria. It's a breakaway state, in the breakaway state of Transnistria. The Soviet Union never really ended.
I remember seeing something about this.
Yes. A large statue of Lenin stands guard outside the Parliament building in Trisopol, above which flies a national flag adorned with a hammer and sickle, like the old Soviets. Sandwiched between the Dniester River and a national border with Ukraine, Transnistria is internationally recognised as part of Moldova, but Russian soldiers' investment and influence regardless reign supreme. Legally it doesn't exist, but the place has its own currency and police force, and attends at one of Transnistria's extremely militaristic Independence Day parades may come away unconvinced. So there you go. So
you know what that is? That's kind of like what they have in the Russian quasi state in Ukraine. You know, the Russians are taking over. It's one of those things. The thing is, it's a bit like Northern Ireland in that when the Russians occupied these other countries during the Soviet Union, they transplanted Russian citizens there. And they became enclaves. And it's the plantation system. Yes, exactly. And they became enclaves.
Very successful. Thanks, Eamonn.
The thing is, they've done it in Lithuania as well. And like even now, that's why NATO have put on a big show of support for Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Ukraine is not part of NATO, but those 3 are. And they've sent troops and tanks and everything. And the Poles are there, the Americans are there, the French aircraft are there, the Italian armored divisions are there, and all that in those countries to point out that if these Russian separatists try to do what they did, they will get squished by the entire NATO because Ukraine may be standing on its own with 4 guys on their own against the Russians, but the Lithuanians are never on their own. Because they signed the paperwork. They're in the club, and that's it.
They'll be backed up.
But so that even if they might have Russian separatists who want to declare a province the size of a town as part of the Russian Federation, they can't. They won't be able to do it because the thing was with Ukraine, they were smuggling soldiers across the border. The Russians were sending guys in, and that was it. That was literally Ukraine was at war with Russia for a while.
I knew you'd be into this now.
Hit me, brother.
Next one, Somaliland. It's not Somaliland. Somaliland. It sounds really nice, but
is
I don't
this
think it is.
Somalia?
Yes. A spiritual and geographic successor to the protectorate of British Somaliland, this semi-state is in North Horn of Africa, was independent for exactly 5 days in 1960 before being subsumed into the new Republic of Somalia. The struggle for full statehood has worn on ever since, including an exceptionally bloody civil war. But despite decades of democratic elections, the region has made little headway internationally. Despite its difficulties, Somaliland is widely considered safer for foreigners than the rest of Somalia. And law and order is arguably better kept in regional capital Hargeisa than the national capital Mogadishu.
Yes.
So there you go.
There you go.
That is. It's
I'm going to go up on a limb and say it's a seaport.
I think so.
Yeah, and that sounds why it would probably be quasi-separate, is that they had money in common.
It has the ability to bring in things like that.
It's like they were saying, if Kuwait if they grew turnips instead of having oil, it'd be the smallest province in Iraq. That's it, you know. It's like Singapore. Singapore is that little city-state on the massive, Indonesia, I think. Is it Indonesia? Yeah, it's Indonesia.
Something like that,
Yeah, they want it back. It's either Indonesia, Malaysia, or the Philippines, and I apologise for not knowing which one of those 3 it is. But Singapore is like that. It's that city-state next to a massive one, and it's because of international commerce and trade.
That is
they're able to keep themselves separate. So there you go. They're trying their
damnedest. Next one is called Abkhazia, officially part of the Caucasian nation. I don't know why it has Caucasian there, but that's
it's in the Caucasus region. It's probably the Caucasus Mountain region, which spans half a continent.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the colour of my skin.
That's why white people are called Caucasians, because the people who came from that area were predominantly white. Because
there you go. So it's in the part of Caucasian nation of Georgia. Abkhazia fought war of succession with its mother country in the early 1990s, declared independence in 1999, and signed a strategic partnership agreement with Russia.
There you go, probably another Russian answer, like
2014.
There you go, like in Ukraine.
Like in the Ukraine.
So what's the? Oh, you still have more good news.
I have Once known for its Black Sea resorts popular with the Soviet League, this is still this weird place.
Yeah, in Georgia,
Abkhazia, picturesque waterfronts are enjoyed only by the most intrepid travellers, and the situation remains sensitive. The de facto state has its own flag, its own government, and even its own relatively useless passport. But is distinctly lacking distinctly lacking for international recognition. To summarise, it's all rather complicated.
There you go.
Two more. I'll breeze through them. Western Sahara.
Oh yes, that's there's actually a country called Western Sahara, doesn't there?
Sahara. I don't know actually, to be honest.
Right, read it out.
Yeah.
And Google it.
Classed as one of the most sparsely populated regions in the world, it's almost surprising that there's been so much kerfuffle over, I love that word, over the deserted dunes of Western Sahara, recognised by most observers as part of Morocco. A renegade republic has set up shop in the area's southern reaches, lined with minefields and military. A lot of maps still demarcate the region with dotted lines. Today, a few enterprising tour operators are starting to cash in on the region's untouched dunes and surprisingly active kiteboarding scene.
Well, there you go. And you know why that rang a bell? Because Morocco's to the north and Mauritania is to the east and south and all that. And it says Western Sahara is a disputed territory on the coast of the Maghreb region of North Africa. 20% of the territory is controlled by the self-proclaimed Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, which you just mentioned, and 80% is occupied and administered by neighbouring Morocco. So that's why it rang a bell.
Yeah,
I had heard and seen on maps Western Sahara, and I was like, when you said this place doesn't exist, I was like, I've seen that on international maps, and now I know why. There you go, because the Moroccans have their fingers in the pie. That's absolutely, and probably the Mauritanians as well. Yeah. So there you go.
It's a disputed spot. One last one.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's actually really the most. I found it the most coolest. It's the only. It's called Sealand. It sounds like a fun place to bring your kids or something. Yeah. This is the only entry on the list. No one would fight a war over. The United Nations couldn't recognise Sealand even if it wanted to, because it's a man-made platform in the English Channel, barely larger than a football pitch.
I've seen those. Yeah. It was on a quiz. It was on a.
Like Pointers or something. Crystal Maze.
Remember they had those stupid dungeon quizzes. Yeah.
A World War II fort 12 kilometres off the coast of Suffolk, Sealand was claimed by Paddy Roy Bates in 1967 after 2 decades as a pirate radio station. That's another reason why it rang bells with me. And promptly declared independence from the UK government. After decades of inconsequential campaigning and deafening silence from Westminster, the Sealand regime is no closer to statehood, but it does have 23.6 thousand followers on Instagram, which I am now a follower of.
Very good. I'm not on Instagram.
It's okay. I rarely use it. I just wanted to see if it actually existed. It does. So.
In fairness, who'd want to see this on Instagram? And now back to the bad news.
Back to the bad news. I just wrote a few bits that were kind of obviously of relevance in terms of Irish news and that things that were close. Obviously, COVID is something that's. Look, I think it's going to be on the podcast for the next while. We won't go into deep. We've already talked about what we think are the issues, the problems of people not wearing masks. The cases obviously are going up and up and up over the last number of days and weeks and blah blah blah. But it's just I don't see an end to it.
No,
it's our new normal, as we keep saying.
Yeah, and I know they're saying that out of so many million cases of people around the world, that only some of them have had reinfections.
Yeah.
And the woman on the radio this morning reminded me of something I heard on another podcast, actually, which was another journalist, but I'll get into that later. She said that there's only 20 people have been reinfected after 3 months or whatever. And the guy on the radio, he was from the Department of Health. He was very clever to say, that we know of.
Exactly.
I mean, there are parts of the world that are, from a health and tracing and epidemiological perspective, are black holes.
Yeah.
I mean,
India.
India. Brazil.
God.
There's parts of Africa and Asia and
even China.
Even parts of the Central Asian republics of like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and all the other ones. How the hell? There's loads of them. But the thing is, how the hell are you supposed to get accurate figures from them? How do we even know that the figures out of China were accurate? I mean, there's too much at play to know. And there has been cases of people getting re-sick. Now, I know there's some things that maybe genetically they're different for me and you, and that might be more susceptible to it. There's even something of maybe if you have Neanderthal DNA in your body,
you could be more susceptible
to reinfection and all this kind of thing. And it's just, or more worse effectively.
And I know they've talked about people that have had it have built up antibodies and that, but they only stay in your system for so long, and then then you get it.
And the whole herd immunity thing was based on that. Kevin got sick with COVID.
Yeah.
Kevin recovered. Now I can put Kevin in a room with people who have COVID, and Kevin will not get sick again. You can't guarantee that.
No.
And
not long term anyway.
Not long term. And the thing is this: okay, some people in their 20s and early 30s might get sick, might recover from it after a week.
Yeah.
They may or may not have long term effects of the illness because it is a bad respiratory one. When it's in their 50s and 60s, they may show signs of excessive. But the point is, it's not that they got sick and didn't die from it. It's the 3 other people that they infected who will eventually get to the point where we will kill people, the elderly, disabled, people with chronic illnesses and
underlying health conditions and that.
It's going to eventually. It's like water. It will find a way to
make its way around.
It will find its way down.
Yeah. All it takes is one person.
Yeah.
Like you look at cases that you were telling me earlier about in that restaurant, the cafe in
Cork.
They could trace 30 or 40
50
cases.
Yeah, they were saying all the time. Bars and restaurants were saying, our businesses are being destroyed. There's no link between us and COVID and everything. It's people congregating. Now, I totally feel sorry for if you own a cafe and your business is closed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your life is destroyed. I'm glad that me and you work. We won't say where or what we do, but we do work for the health sector.
Yeah,
and we're funded. But we're funded by the government. We are a public health employee.
We're fairly secure in our jobs.
As long as the Republic of Ireland doesn't get invaded or cease to exist, we're
good.
We're going to be okay. We're not we're the exception to the rule.
We are. And the self-employed, you've talked about, they're the hardest being done by business owners.
But the problem is where people congregate is where people get sick.
Yeah, look at those clips that were coming out of Galway, which brings me to my next piece. Around this judge that was part of the Golfgate scenario. I'm sorry, I know that you were like, I just had to because it just got on my fucking tits.
I'm up to my fucking tits with it as well. But it's just judges will never fire each other.
So he's a former Attorney General. His name is, of course, I have it down here. It's something Wolf. Seamus Wolf. How could I forget? Seamus Wolf. Basically, they did a report. They got a former judge to do an investigation into.
She was a former Supreme Court judge.
She was.
Part of the club.
The Denham report, as it's called now, as it will not glowingly be known as the Reeling in the Years show for years to come. Basically, she said that asking him to step down would be, the word I was looking for earlier, disproportionate to what he had done to the crime. But then you have the likes of Phil Hogan resigning, the EU Commissioner. You have your man Darragh Cleary, agriculture.
What did he do though? He was.
They were at it as well.
Oh, he was at it as well. Sorry, I was thinking of the other minister before him who was the driving back.
But anyway,
they had to resign.
Looking at that, okay, fair enough. He's a judge. Blah blah blah. But do you hear the stories then come out of it, like that the room that they were set up in was split with a wall, but then when they were doing the speeches and the awards, they opened the wall up a little bit, and then they were like, okay, well that's fair enough. They were still on either side, but the servers were moving in between the two spaces. So what's the fucking point? It's like the chaps that we see in the shops that we talked about. Why have the mask half on or just wear it under your nose? It defeats the fucking purpose.
Do a TD, right? Which for anybody who's not Irish is the Gaelic initials for Member of Parliament.
Yeah.
Right. So a TD, not even a minister, but just a TD, their basic salary is €98,000 a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or 96 or 98,000.
And they're getting a pay rise.
They're getting a pay rise. But if you're a minister, you get obviously minister's pay on top of that. Yeah. Do you know a tenured professor in Ireland? Starting salary is 124,000 a year.
Okay.
And you have to have a PhD.
Yeah, and that takes years.
To be a tenured professor. And you have to be published author and all these kind of things like that. Yeah, so a TD gets 96 or 98,000.
And any fucking person that can drum up a bit of support could become a TD.
Yeah, if you're going to be in that business, you're going to protect yourself and others around you because it's
I scratch my back, you scratch yours.
Plus the other thing as well, he was a Supreme Court judge, isn't he? He's one of
He's a new one.
How many Supreme Court judges do we have? Half a dozen.
It's a pretty handful, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about 8 or 9 of them. Anyway, I can't remember. I know it's like that, but they hire themselves. They choose their own members,
they want to be,
and they're immune to
a lot of things.
Yeah, the government, and they
only as well.
But they can only censure themselves. Yeah, basically, and they decided, no, I'm not going to censor you because you probably know.
But it sets a precedence then.
It does set a precedent
for future.
Plus, the other thing about it is, I'm not going to censor you, Kevin, because I should say, because you probably I might screw up 6 months from now, and I don't want to need your help.
Yeah.
I may need your vote too. Remember that time I let you out of that shit?
I just thought if you look at the cases that were coming out of Cork and UCC with the students that were caught throwing house parties, they'd be suspended. Now I don't think they'd be suspended from college; they'd be suspended from Freshers Week, which is probably not a bad thing in fairness. But they could be suspended. There could be cases. The Gardaí are sharing addresses now of these house parties that were going on in Galway and that to the colleges. And this guy gets away with going over and having a 2-day golfing trip and having a fucking lovely dinner, rubbing his shoulders
do you remember, I say here, it's got to be at least 10 years ago now, there was a judge, the police served a warrant to search his house and his computers and found child pornography. But he ended up resigning and not going to jail because the search warrant was 1 day out of date. But the thing was the Gardaí would have known that it was 1 day. But that's the thing about being in the judiciary and in these kind of that level of political power is that you have, and somebody may have said, issued a warrant 1 day out of date. We know you're a child pornography. You are gone, and that's it. You resign now, or you will be in jail. But you can't put judges in jail. And that was what they were doing. And I think that's what this may have been.
Oh, it completely is. But it's
that you are. Wrap the knuckles, behave yourself, don't do that crap again.
Stay out of the news, lad.
Yeah, we're not going to fire you, kind of thing.
But it's the whole thing of double standards.
It's sickening, it really is.
And it's not just Ireland, it happens in most countries,
But I mean, you're absolutely right.
Power corrupts, absolutely.
Some of those students could have their futures thrown away.
Yeah, completely. That's my next piece.
And the thing about it is, they could turn around, the government could turn around and say, well, these students were breaching COVID, and those students who didn't get their Leaving Cert points, well, we'll give them the place in college now, and that will be, you know what I mean? And it's just,
That's the next piece on our, you probably saw it there.
Leaving
Cert.
This is just where I'm going.
Where you're going, Leaving Cert calculated points. So in Ireland, the people that were sitting their Leaving Cert, which is the equivalent of your last year in high school in America. In England,
it'll be
your GCSEs.
Your GCSEs, yeah.
And basically, it's a point system that you sit your exams and you get marked on it. And you get an X amount of points at the end. Then you use that to get a college course, which are marked a certain amount of points. So medicine, for example, would be really high points. So you have to get like 600 points.
Yeah, I think the maximum amount of points you can get
is 600. Yeah, it's based on your 6 best subjects.
You A's and everything to get this.
Higher levels. There's higher level, ordinary level, foundation level on most subjects. But anyway, so this year, because of the fact that people weren't sitting at COVID and the kids were out of school, they decided they'd come up with a calculated point system. So they hired this, I can't remember the name of the software company.
Some Dutch company.
Yeah. And they basically outsourced it, and they said, you come up with a system that's going to come up with the form, you write the codes and put it together, that this system that will figure out what points to give, Joe Blogs, all the schools, all the pupils, and they fucked up. They got 2 codes wrong on the line of codes. They got 2 lines wrong, and basically this is impacted based where people who should have got more points got less, and people who should have got less points got more. So I think it was based on whereby they say, for example, you pick 3 of your best subjects, instead of basing it on 3 being your best, it's based on 3 your worst. Right, so they completely offset it, completely fucked it up. It affects just over 6,000 people, and it's just the big kicker though is the government knew about this a week ago. And the other point is that, okay, so I was thinking about it in my head, right? So places have gone out. The CEO, the offers have gone out of
places.
Applications
have gone out. Yeah.
They've accepted their second or third choice now because they didn't get their first option. So that means that if they get re-offered now based on the recalculated points when they finally fix it, so that means that there's going to be put pressure now on the colleges to create more places on these courses, or they can defer for next year, which will have a knock-on effect for the students of 2021. Yeah. So this is just calamity fucking all over, and it's typical Irish government of doing it. It's just.
But you said, they knew about it a week ago, and it was kind of like, please don't see it. Don't look.
But it just I think at the end of the day, I'm not surprised with any of this shit anymore.
No,
it's just ridiculous. Just do your jobs right. If we do something wrong, we get if you don't drive without your car tax or insurance, you get penalty points. You get fined. These fuckers are doing stuff wrong. Like, we're sorry.
Do you know what? The government actually sent me an email to remind me that my car tax is up at the end of the month.
Yeah, motor tax.
Yeah, you'll remember to pay it.
So it's just like, we'll get you. We'll find you. We'll get you.
Yeah.
You know,
they're a bit like a loan shark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pay me or I'll put you in jail. Like, you know,
but then, looking into it even more, like, so you have the guys that accepted their college places, they paid deposits for accommodation.
For apartments and everything.
Are the government going to refund them?
Pay their fees as well.
They pay the fees. Are they going to be transferable for next year? So they don't have to pay next year's fees. There's all these things that are a domino effect because of a fuck up from this company. And now they're bringing a third party in to reassess the whole thing. Who pays for that? The Irish taxpayer?
Yeah.
The fucking company that fucked up should be paying for it.
Well, do you know what? We did used to do that. We used to have a way that if a company did something.
Yes, back in the day.
Back in the day. I mean, like, for example, remember we did that rural electrification?
Yes, that's what I was
Siemens was
the contractor.
And they were given the contract for the hydroelectric dam, and they said, let's say it was 5 million, and they turned out and said, actually we need 7 million. The government turned around and said, no, you negotiated for 5 million, you signed a contract, do the job.
Deliver it.
Deliver it, there's your money. Do the job, or you'll ruin your international reputation. And they did it. Yeah. Even though they lost 2 million, they still went along and did it.
The government don't do that now. I bet you that they have a clause in the contract to say that if something like this happens, we have a get out of jail card.
Yeah.
Not literally, obviously.
Oh yeah, no, they write it into legal contracts.
Yeah, absolutely, which is ridiculous. But if I build a house, which I am planning on doing in the next while, I get my contractor, my builder, to sign up and commit to a price, and if he goes over that, that's on him. That's not on me. So why can't it work?
Yeah,
the same principle should apply, as you've given a good example of. But that's years ago. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy.
Back in the good old days. Do you know what? Back in those days as well, the Irish government actually went to, I can't remember, was it Norway or Sweden? I think it was Norway. Because we were doing rural electrification, just a little sojourn as we're going. We needed those telegraph poles to carry the electrical wires, so they're wooden poles. And we went to Norway and said, we're trying to build electrification in our newly independent state. We're going to need some trees off it, but we don't have much money. Can we put it on like installment payments? And they said, okay, sure, no problem. You can pay us when you have the money. How many trees do you need? 3 million. So it's like, we needed 3 million trees, and they went, okay, fine. and they gave it to us. And they gave it to us and said, we'll pay. It was like that the Popeye guy, you know, I will gladly pay you on Wednesday for a hamburger today. You know, it was just like, and that was it. But yeah, back in those days, you
that's the way you could get away with it. Like, look, that is all of my news. I think maybe next week less is more. But that was good.
I enjoyed every section of that, and we got 55 minutes of it. And I think it was awesome.
Just about. I did that last week. I thought it was kind of cool because it worked out really well. We'll have time. We'll do it real quick.
Yes, let's go. Let's tell it. We're going to do our little true or false chocolate or poo fact section.
You hold them.
Yes.
You're doing that. I'm the quiz master.
If you can see that is chocolate.
So that's true.
Chocolate for true. Poo for false.
And look real close at the poo.
Donald Trump's face.
Yeah, you should. Right.
Okay.
There's there's a few of them, right? So you have to now. Some of them are like general statements about random things, and you have to tell me if you think it's true or false.
Right.
So. More than a fifth of all calories consumed by humans worldwide is provided by rice alone.
I'm going to say that is poo.
That is incorrect. It is true. It is chocolate.
Fudge berries.
It is chocolate.
It was chocolate.
Fudgeberry chocolate. Next one. I should be marketing this.
It's okay.
Anyway,
the commentators on YouTube will do that.
All of our 17 viewers, most of the 10 of which is ours. Yes. People can suffer from a psychological disorder called bone therapy that makes them believe that they are a cow. They try to live their life as a cow.
I'm going to say that is chocolate because the world is filled with strangest and weirdest weirdos ever. Because you know why? Vaccines. We stopped letting people die.
Don't you know vaccines cause autism?
Of course they do. And 5G kills you. Yes, that's
that
chocolate.
Is true.
It is chocolate. Hey! There we go.
The name for the shape of Pringles is called hyperbolic paraboloid.
As in the shape of the crisp, yes. And it's called this.
Yes.
That's so ridiculous. It has to be chocolate.
That is chocolate.
It is chocolate. It is chocolate. Yes.
A duel between three. A duel between three people is actually called a truel. Oh, it's true.
Come on! A duel between three people is just nonsense. Who do I punch first? I'll punch him in the face and kick him in the balls at the same time. Go on. That's true.
Japan, and I actually saw this a couple of years ago. I was like, that sounds like an interesting job prospect. Damn it, I just gave it away. Japan is facing ninja shortage. There is a high demand for ninja shows, but it is a dying tradition and companies have trouble time finding properly trained ninjas.
Yeah, you see, this could be that thing of it probably is true, but he could have done a double bluff there by pretending it was
I'm not
true.
that smart
Yeah,
or good at poker.
That is
very much chocolate.
It's so dead.
What if he did that?
We could do
Takeshi's
that.
Castle.
Let's just, oh man, more people have walked on the moon than have actually
going to
succeeded.
Takeshi's Castle. I sent you that video.
I
Of
watched it.
trying to find. It was epic.
Do you know what we have to do? Just leave the wife and kids. Let's become ninjas in Japan. Yes. Episode 7. Go on.
Sonic the Hedgehog's full name is actually Ogilvy Morris Hedgehog.
Definitely poo because
No,
it's Japanese.
it's true.
Oh, come on.
That's chocolate. Right, power on because we loads more to go through. The dark region of the north pole of Pluto's moon, Charon, is called Mordor. So the moon is called Charon, but the north pole of the moon is called Mordor.
Poo, because Charon is the guy who carries you across the river Styx in Greek mythology, and they would have stuck with Greek mythology. Ah, come on, man.
It's chocolate, it's true.
What happened at NASA?
I don't know. Now, this could be you, because this is a PlayStation reference now. PlayStation 1.
Oh, PlayStation 1, yeah, I remember PlayStation 1.
Okay, so 2 PlayStation 1 games, well, the games probably. FIFA 2001 and Gran Turismo 2 has scratch and sniff discs. The FIFA 2001 smelled like a soccer field, while Gran Turismo 2 smelled like car tires.
I'm going to say poo because that would burn inside the device.
That is chocolate.
Oh, come on. Are any of these fake? Are you just pulling random true facts?
I did pull
off
random facts, but you have to decide whether or not they're real or not. I don't know how many. Anyway, in 2014, a missing woman on a vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered that she was in a search party looking for herself.
That one has to be chocolate. It's so absurd. It has to be true.
That is chocolate.
That has to be true. Do you know what? I just realized that when you said the scratch and sniff thing, you never said that it was on the disc. It could have just been in the box. And that was wrong, yeah. You see where my silliness went there.
I do. Sorry, I'm just getting our theme tune music ready for the end because we're near the end.
Yes, and we have to tell us what we're going to do in the next episode. Go on.
Absolutely.
Keep going with the chocolate or poo.
Digging a hole to China is theoretically. That's episode 6. Ooh, theoretically.
That's a sex theory. There you go.
Is theoretically possible if you start in Argentina.
It's theoretically possible you start in any fucking place. I mean, like you're digging to the far side of the planet. So
the question is it chocolate or poo?
I'm going to say it's chocolate.
You are correct. It is chocolate. Next. Seahorses have no teeth or stomach.
Ooh. Poo.
No. Chocolate. Fish cannot blink.
Chocolate.
Yes.
Yeah, because they just look at you like, yeah.
Nepal is the only country in the world which does not have a rectangular flag.
That's chocolate. That's 100% chocolate. They have a triangular.
Yeah,
flag.
that's chocolate. Switzerland shares land borders with 4 other countries.
Italy, Germany, Austria, France, and chocolate.
No, it's 5. France, Italy, Germany, Austria, and Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. We always forget the Liechtenstein.
Where are we? We have 4 left. And then we are donezo. The oldest condoms ever found date back to the 1640s.
Poo.
They were made from animal and fish intestines.
Ooh, I'm going to still say poo.
No, it's chocolate.
Oh, God.
They were found in a cesspit at Dudley Castle. So the shenanigans at Dudley Castle, baby.
You sure somebody wasn't just fucking a fish?
And using the fish
brings a whole new meaning to sheepshagger, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. You like fish sticks?
Oh, God. I'm not a gay fish.
Female kangaroos. Yes. Female kangaroos have 3 vaginas.
I'm going to say that is chocolate.
It is chocolate.
Yeah.
Marsupials are a strange bunch of mammals. They really are. Yes. It costs the US Mint almost twice as much to mint each penny and nickels as the coins are actually worth. Wait, I'm not finished. Taxpayers lost over 100 million in 2013 just through the coins being made.
That is chocolate.
That is chocolate.
And do you know what another little interesting fact was? They tried to phase out the penny in the United States and one state vetoed it.
And then stopped the whole thing.
That stopped the whole thing. Do you know why? It was the state of Illinois, and guess where Abraham Lincoln, who was on the penny, comes from?
Illinois.
The state of Illinois. So there you go. Interesting little fact.
That is an interesting little factoid.
Yes.
Is that chocolate?
That is chocolate.
That is chocolate. 2 more. Experiments show that male rhesus macaque monkeys will pay to look at pictures of female rhesus macaques' bottoms.
That's chocolate.
That is chocolate. The dance fever of 1518 was a month-long plague of inexplicable dancing in Strasbourg, in which hundreds of people danced for about a month for no apparent reason. Several of them danced themselves to death.
I'm going to say that is chocolate and probably some brain-eating amoeba in the
The
water.
water supply. My friend, that
we have come
is
full
chocolate.
circle. Or poo.
Or poo. We'll let you decide, but that was actually chocolate, wasn't
That
it?
was
That was a plague. It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was fun.
Again, that sounds like it might have been a brain-eating.
Yeah.
We were like a robber or a snake. We've come back to eating our own
Back
tail.
to
There
full
you
circle.
So
yeah, it's next episode. Come on.
Next episode, right. I had a
plan.
little thing about the next episode. I was going to say, because we do like Star Trek, we are huge Star Trek fans, and we never mentioned it in this entire episode either.
Yeah.
And we barely mentioned it in episode 2. So I was thinking that for episode 4, why don't we just make a Star Trek episode?
Deadly.
We can do whatever we want with it. We can do like you did, funny, interesting little facts. We'll definitely do the chocolate or poo, true or false thing. This time it's my turn to research some interesting little facts.
How many dilithium crystals does it take to go to warp 1 or something? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I will be hitting YouTube to look up the strange and interesting little facts that you didn't know about, and all those other videos from some of the great YouTube channels out there.
Perfect, yeah. That sounds cool.
So I'll find some interesting little facts about Star Trek and hit you with them.
Yeah.
And
just look up stuff about episodes we like and characters and,
you know what?
stuff.
It doesn't even have to be that weird. It can just be like, I remember this is one of my favourite episodes because, and just talk for about perhaps.
Just shoot, yeah.
Anything you want on it, because let's just enjoy Star Trek. And episode 5, then we will get back to the interesting, funny facts and our homework. Yeah. And we'll hopefully then we'll have watched Rome yourself and we'll have watched that movie. So that'll be 2 weeks from now.
What's the name of the movie?
Disproportionate, dispassionate, something or other.
I actually can't remember. It's got Ethan Hawke in it, lads. It's going to be good. It's about time travel, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can't remember.
It's okay.
I'll have to rewatch episode 2, so I'll be view 18 on episode 2 that nobody's watching.
Do you know what I'm going to bring and we can decorate our undisclosed location here? My pieces I got from Star Trek Era. Big shout out to Star Trek Era, guys.
Oh, very cool.
From one of the quizzes I went to, they had it was a DS9 quiz and it was deadly. And I took some posters there. Yeah, the Jeffrey Combs, and
Jeffrey Combs. Do you know what? You can put one Star Trek poster. I've got a poster for Fallout 4.
Yes, there we go.
I'm going to put that up there as well.
Yeah, I have the
my wife won't let me
as well.
My wife won't let me put it up in the house.
So I have all my Star Trek stuff. I'm going to bring my Bajoran lightship. I'll bring it. You're not opening it either because it's staying in the back.
I don't have any Star Trek memorabilia like that, unfortunately. I have books. I have loads of Star Trek books. They are my memorabilia. I have a few Star Wars stuff that I got from when I used to work in. I know. It's Wizards in Space.
It literally was just going to say.
Space. Yeah, but I got them for like free when I worked in a fast food restaurant that was giving away stuff at Christmas, and I was like, I'm taking that.
Sure, why not?
I'm taking that. It's just like so.
Right. Yeah. On that note, been a pleasure, bud.
It's always been a pleasure.
I'll see you Monday.
You will see me Monday.
And we'll see you next week on another episode of Chocolate or Poo.
Don't forget to flush.
Don't forget to flush.